Joining us from Tokyo is the founder and CEO of AirAsia. He's Tony Fernandez. Tony, thanks a lot for joining us. First of all, you're setting up this new hub with ANA there in Narita. Tell us about how much you're planning to take away from some of the traditional carriers there in the domestic market.
Well, I think it's a big day for us today. Thanks for having me on the show. Really, we're looking at boosting demand. We're not looking at taking anyone's market share. Japan, I think, has always been a pretty high cost and high fare area. But there are tons of people who want to travel in and out of Japan, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to bring down the prices and bring out a whole new market.
Absolutely, but you've got competition in the form of Jetstar as well, so there are other people who also want to do the same thing, I guess. So, is the new market going to be big enough for the two players?
Yeah, I think in Japan there's 124 million people. Malaysia, we have 55 aircraft with a population of 24 million. Japan is going to be a massive market for us. Its border is 2.5 hours away from Shanghai. It's 2.5 hours away from Vladivostok. And we have Korea there and Taiwan, apart from a very strong domestic market here. So we're very bullish about the future of AirAsia Japan.
Well, are you going to guarantee the lowest fares? I'm sure you'll say that you are.
I think the key is the consumer will decide that. Traditionally we've had the lowest cost in the world. Having the lowest cost enables us to have the lowest fares, and we already feel, in looking with ANA, our cost is substantially lower than theirs, and we still feel we have a way to go in bringing that cost down as we scale up our fleet. We had a board meeting today, and we're looking at increasing the aircraft committed to this joint venture because we're very confident about the future.
Well, for instance, you're in Tokyo and you're out in Narita. That's one thing. When you talk about cost, one thing that you cannot perhaps control is just the high airport costs there in Japan, which are amongst the world's highest.
Well, that's also something that we're working very hard at. Narita has promised us a low-cost terminal. We're moving into our own, a temporary low-cost facility as soon as we start in August. That, I think, was unheard of initially when we came to Japan. Many airports are approaching us in Japan, looking at setting up low-cost facilities. Osaka has one. So the myth that Japan is expensive in terms of airport fees is going to ground. People are seeing what we and other low-cost carriers have done in other airports, and want a slice of that action in Japan.
Just want to move further afield when we look at the vast airline that AirAsia is becoming at the moment. And of course, you had that tie-up with MAS, Malaysian Airlines, which has gone awry at the moment. Saying, how does that affect your future there? For instance, you have AirAsia X. Were you going to continue your flights into Europe with that?
No, I think we've discovered in AirAsia X really that the best model is a medium-haul model. We were pioneers in this. We were experimenting. Really, 4 to 8 hours is the sweet spot. AirAsia X has just announced flights to Beijing and Shanghai. With this launch of AirAsia Japan, they're looking at flying into Narita on top of Haneda. So plenty of growth. I think the share swap with MAS has no impact on AirAsia. Things are looking good for us in Malaysia. We reported a very good quarter, up 7% in comparison to most airlines. So we're feeling quietly optimistic.